What's up, Instagram? Waiting on Facebook here. All right, we are live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. Welcome, y'all. My name is Dustin Jones. This is a PT on Ice daily show brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. I am one of two faculty members in the older adult division with my partner in crime, Christina Previtt. Today, you normally find me on Wednesdays, Jerry on Ice. Today is Leadership Thursday, and wanted to have a conversation relevant to the wrap up of our course that happened last night of MMOA Advanced Concepts. The title of this episode is going to be How to Play the Guide. What's up, y'all? Last night, it was week 8, so our final meeting with MMOA Advanced Concepts. And that week 8, we do an assignment to where the students have to create a targeted ad for older adults. And so we have an awesome discussion, about an hour-long lecture beforehand, where we talk about some of the principles of marketing and branding towards older adults. And it's a very interesting topic and something I wanted to speak to, for the relevance for anyone that may be in a position to directly brand and market towards older adults, but also just for clinicians. Even if you don't find yourself in a position to where you are trying to create ads, copy, images, graphics, and whatnot for older adults, I think some of these principles really apply to how we interact with our patients and with our people. So how to play the guide. So applicable, I think, for all of us here. Now, whenever we talk about playing the guide, this ultimately has its origin in a company that's called StoryBrand, where they teach many things about branding and marketing, but they specifically speak to you want to play the role of the guide and not necessarily the hero. Let me say it again. You want to be the guide. You don't want to be the hero. You are the guide in the hero's story. And for us watching this or listening to this on the podcast, oftentimes the hero is our patients or the people that we're trying to serve. It is not me. It is all about them. And so our goal is to play the guide within their story, to position ourselves to be the ones that are going to help them overcome their obstacles, overcome their problems or issues, and reach what we would call their aspirational identity, or to reach their patient-centered goals, if you will. So that's the whole premise of that. You can think, if you're a Star Wars fan, May the 4th just passed by, you want to be more like Yoda and less like Luke Skywalker. That's how you want to think about these things. And so that's where a lot of this comes from. We're trying to frame this, especially from the clinical side, and just how does that apply to us in interactions with people. So how to play the guide. I'm going to go over 3 specific actionable points that I want you all to consider and think about. And I'd love to get your all's comments and feedback, whether it's on Instagram Live right here or on the Facebook post as well, or the people that are listening to the podcast. So the first thing that you really want to focus on, be the guide you must, Addison says. That's great. Number 1, you want to know your hero. If you're going to be a guide in a hero story, you have to know your hero very well. And I think this is very important, especially if I put my hat on, my Jerry PT hat on, when I'm trying to serve older adults. I need to know them very well. And if we're honest with ourselves, especially many of us that are watching this on Instagram or watching this on Facebook, we may not know older adults as well as what we think we know. You see, when we see a lot of folks, especially online, that are marketing and branding to patients, oftentimes their patients are very similar to them. We see this especially in the fitness athlete space, where you'll have someone that loves CrossFit or loves fitness or Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting or whatever it may be, and then they want to be the physio for that particular community, and it works out great because they are a part of that community and they want to work and serve people in that community. So they know their struggles, they know what they want to be able to achieve, they know some of the issues that they face, some of the internal dialogue that happens, they know what it's like to be in that particular demographic. However, if I, being 34 years old, are trying to specifically target and reach people in their 70s and 80s, there's a huge disconnect there. There are so many things that I have no clue what it's like to age, to live in that particular period of your life, some of the struggles, the internal dialogue, some of the things that they are facing on a daily basis. Yes, I have a clue, I have a relatively good idea. However, there are tons of blind spots, and you have to work diligently to uncover those. Very difficult with older adults, but it can be done. So, what do we want to know about these people? Oftentimes you'll hear about the term avatar. Know your avatar, avatar, avatar. You can kind of substitute hero with avatar. We want to know kind of the basic demographics about them. What do they enjoy? Where do they hang out? What clothes do they wear? What music do they listen to? Some of those general interests to really capture kind of their identity as an individual. But we also want to go a little deeper and understand what are their deep desires, their motivations. What do they hope to achieve? What do they hope they want to be able to do? What are they worried about? What are their fears? What are their concerns? And how can we really understand those and be able to speak to those? Those are very important. We want to know where they want to go. In the story brand world, they would call this their aspirational identity, what they aspire to become. But we want to also know some of the fears and the problems that they face, because we also need to be able to speak to those things in our interactions and also our marketing material, our copy and website and whatnot. So we have to know our hero. I think for us, especially if you're trying to target and work with older adults, this is by far one of the hardest things to do, because you have no idea what it's like to be an older adult for many of us watching this. And so we have to do our work. Some practical things that I've found helpful is just being very, very curious, even in the one-on-one interactions. Just ask some of these questions that may not necessarily be PT related. What do you want to be able to do? What are you worried about, as you age? What are you concerned about? This can be helpful in a group setting as well. If I'm leading a group fitness class, it can be a great discussion I can have with folks. You can go where people are. So different community-based organizations. Julie Brower mentioned this last night in our meeting, that she could join a local club and hang out with these people. I know Christina Previtt has done that as well in her community. So we can go where they are and learn and learn and learn about them. And this is not a one-off event. It is really a mindset, because there's so much to learn, so much to embrace, that this is not a one-off event, research phase, if you will. You're continuing to try and know your hero. Number one, all right, know your hero. Number two, you want to express empathy and demonstrate authority. It's very important that we don't mix those up. We want to express empathy and we want to demonstrate authority. So the empathy piece is very, very important, especially if we're trying to work and target a demographic that we are not necessarily a part of. We need to let them know we understand their issues, their struggles, and what they're facing. We need to express that empathy. We get it. We know. We understand. We've seen it in many of our patients. We get your situation and we can help. We have to work hard to express that, because we cannot assume that they can understand that we have that perspective. And so it's difficult to really express that, but I think expressing some of the internal frustrations and actually vocalizing them, that if you are using the words that are kind of going through their head, that will build that connection to where they say, this kid, this 30-something-year-old actually kind of gets what I'm going through. Maybe they will be able to help me. We can do that in our patient interactions. We can also do that with our copy. When I say copy, what I'm saying is kind of written material that you may use in a written ad or even on a website. So when I say copy, that's what I mean. So we want to express empathy. Very, very important. We want to be very intentional about that. Now, the second piece is demonstrate authority. Authority is a challenging issue because you can view it like salt. Too much salt in a recipe is going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. Too much authority is going to leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. So if you're trying to build yourself up, talk about how amazing you are, really put yourself up on a pedestal, then you're trying to make the story more about you and less about the person you're trying to serve. And so we want to express a little bit of authority. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I am a specialist in aging, or I have my GCS, if you will. You can state some of those things, but be very, very thoughtful and careful, and don't do too much with that. You want to really demonstrate that authority more than you actually talking about it and expressing it. You want to be about it, as we would say around here. So ways that you can do that. are testimonials. Testimonials are absolutely huge. Whether it is a written testimonial or a video testimonial of someone within that particular demographic that you've served well, those are going to be one of the most powerful things that you can leverage to demonstrate authority in a particular topic or subject area. You can also demonstrate authority even in session. Whenever you may get someone in the door, we want to think about the concept of building the bike. For those that have not been around the ice world long and you haven't heard that term explained, I will paste the link in the Facebook comments that really describes what building the bike means. But basically, the short version of building the bike is we're trying to make our services and how we can really change people's lives a very tangible product. We want them to really know and experience how we can make change in their lives for the better. And that's just a mindset of different ways that we can achieve that, whether it's, testing, treating, and then retesting and see how we're being able to demonstrate change. Or oftentimes in the setting of Jerry PT, it may be making a home modification or adjusting an assistive device that really allows them to be able to do things they weren't able to do before. We want to build the bike, demonstrate our authority. But the big thing with that, it's like salt. Too much of it is going to put a bad taste in your mouth. And I think a lot of us have experienced this, especially in the online circles where clinicians, well, they love themselves. They're just very full of themselves. They talk about themselves and their achievements and kind of tooting their own horn. And for some, they don't necessarily see that and will kind of buy into some of their philosophies or their persona. For me, that leaves the worst taste in my mouth. If I see someone putting themselves up on a pedestal, they kind of go down a few notches in my book. I want them to demonstrate their authority rather than tell me about their authority. And a lot of our patients are the same way. So express empathy, demonstrate authority, number 2. 1, know your hero. 2, express empathy, demonstrate authority. Number 3, be obsessed with getting them to their aspirational identity. So you will only know their aspirational identity if you know your hero. What do they want to be able to achieve? What are their goals? What are their desires? What are their motivations? And everything that we do, every word that we use, every bit of copy that we use in our ads or our website, every picture we use, we want to really speak to their aspirational identity, what they hope to become. And so for many folks, and this can be different for different demographics, but I think we can speak to many different aspirational identities on online platforms and even in written ads and whatnot. And definitely we can speak to this in our patient interactions, but really getting to what they hope to become. So for me, the people that I work with, a lot of that is about independence, of being able to do the things they want to do, to being strong enough to be able to take their groceries from their trunk into their kitchen, for example, to be able to keep up with their family and their grandkids, to not have to worry about going up and going downstairs, to not being afraid about parking in the back of a parking lot and being able to make it up into the grocery store and have enough energy to actually walk around and get the things that they need. Some of those things may be obvious to you. A lot of them may not be obvious in terms of the aspirational identity. So we have to go back to number 1. We have to know our hero and be obsessed with getting them to that point, but be able to speak to that aspirational identity. I think the big thing, especially with a lot of websites and pictures and ads that we'll see, and I've made this mistake, I still make this mistake, especially associated with Stronger Life, is the messaging that we're putting out, especially with the photos. So oftentimes, and this is a great example from what I've learned at Stronger Life, is that I have a deep desire to see older adults lift heavy things off the ground. There's something about a barbell deadlift when I see one of our clients that maybe in their 70s just absolutely rip some serious weight off the ground and really see that moment where the light bulb hits, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I am strong. I am resilient. I just did that. I couldn't believe I did that. That's what I love to see. That gets me going. And so what has happened is I've let that image and a lot of those pictures that I've taken really become a lot of the pictures that I'll share on social media and on our website. Well, I did a little bit more digging and some research and put up different types of ads with different types of pictures. And what I've found is the picture that hits the hardest for me, it's Becky Edwins. She is an amazing individual. She's given me permission to share her picture far and wide and to talk about her story. There's an amazing picture, a really cool angle of her doing a barbell deadlift with a few people in the background. That gets my blood pumping every time. That is the worst performing picture on all of our ads and on our website. The best performing picture is when we have the whole class together, all set 15, 16, 17 people, arms around each other, smiling, having a good old time. That's the one that gets the most interaction online, in our ads, and on our website. That speaks to their aspirational identity of having a community, of having friends, of having that sense of belonging that I didn't perceive. And so that is one easy one that I've learned the hard way, but that's something we want to think about. All right, so number one, how to play the guide. You want to know your hero. All right, very difficult with older adults. You have to do your due diligence and work hard to understand them. But this is not a one-off event. This is more of a process. So know your hero, express empathy, and demonstrate authority. Make sure that you express empathy, especially if there's a big gap between you and the people that you're trying to serve in terms of age or differences. Make it clear to them. Express that empathy. Speak language that they speak. Demonstrate authority, but remember, authority is like salt. Too much of it in a recipe is going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. And number three, be obsessed with getting people to their aspirational identity, what they hope to become. Let that seep into the words that you use when you're communicating with people, the copy that you're using on your website or your ads, and definitely the pictures that you're using, whether it's on social media, a website, or something you may use for an article per se. So three things. Play the guide, y'all. I'd love to hear your thoughts, any concerns, any questions, any other ideas of things that you think about when you are trying to play the guide in the hero story, the hero being your patient. I'd love to hear it because I love geeking out about this topic. And hat tip to StoryBrand for really making this accessible to a lot of people. So before I go, I do want to mention we've got a couple courses coming up in the older adult division. So MMOA Essential Foundations, it's our 8-week online course that is starting on May 13th. So less than a week away, we're going to be kicking off that next cohort. On May 20th is MMOA Advanced Concepts. So that's only for people that have been through Essential Foundations. It's going to start May 20th. So we're going to have a fun little end of spring, early summer with those two cohorts. So if you are interested in that, just go to ptonice.com, go to online courses, and you'll see that information. So thank y'all for hanging out with me this morning. Good to see you. Have a lovely Thursday, and I'll talk with y'all soon.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.